Hey everybody, in this video, I'm going to be talking about the history of the St. Louis City, Missouri Fire Department and going briefly in the synopsis of the Great St. Louis City Fire that happened back in 1849. When I was a kid, and this is like way back in the 1980s, I actually lived in the city of St. Louis. And my parents and I lived in separate areas of the St. Louis area. The first area was the Central West End, and the second area was the downtown area, which we were kind of on the north side of downtown. And if any of you that are watching this video from St. Louis or know about St. Louis, I actually lived in the Columbus Square area at that time. The apartment complex was known as the Columbus Square. And if you're not familiar with that area, it's actually the apartment complex directly across the street from the stadium. That is the St. Louis Stadium right off of Cole Street. That apartment complex is where I actually lived. And when I was a kid, I started getting involved or had an interest in public safety from the police, EMS, Emergency Medical Services, to the fire department. And I really had an interest in the St. Louis City Fire Department. My father had a police scanner, and it was really interesting because my dad was into the fire calls, police calls. And when we moved into the St. Louis area, I found the frequency to the St. Louis City Fire Department and started listening to them. And I really got into it. I really did, listening to all the different calls. I actually sat there with a notebook and recorded the calls, where they're located, and stars if they were close to my area. And I didn't really listen to the police department because at that time they didn't really have the frequencies out for the police department. I just mostly listened to the fire department. And it was just really, really interesting. And one day I decided just to write a letter. Here I am being a kid, writing a letter to the St. Louis Fire Department just to get some general information. And got this really nice letter from the deputy chief, and said, maybe one day you could come over here, take a look at the headquarters and the dispatch area. I never did. I wish I did at the time, but I just didn't get around it at that time. So they did send me a patch. I wish I had a picture of the actual patch, but I do have some pictures of patches I will share in just a few minutes and kind of just talk about those just really briefly. But they sent me this. He sent me this nice letter introducing himself, and then say if you would like to have a tour of the headquarters or the dispatch, the academy, feel free to contact me. And again, I was just a kid. I wish I would have, because it would have been a neat sight to see. And then he sent me a shoulder patch. But like I said, I just never got the chance to do that. However, we did drive, since when we moved to the Columbus Square area, we were actually just about a mile or two from the headquarters. So my dad used to drive me out there and just take a look at see if they were doing any kind of training or anything like that. So, and also while we were living in the downtown area, I actually walked, and it was on the far north side of the downtown, all the way down to, at that time, where Busch Stadium used to sit. And there was a fire station out there which covers downtown, which is station house number 2. And I used to walk all the way down there and just hoping and praying that a fire truck would just roll out of the doors, or an ambulance or something. But it never happened. But that was a point where I used to turn around and walk all the way back. So I actually went from the far north side to the south side of downtown, and I was just a kid back in those days. But I was always an interest into the fire department. and waiting to see if they would come out of their quarters. When we lived in the Central West End, we were a little bit further away from a fire department, so I could not walk to it. It wouldn't have been good walking distance, but it was Station 28. If you're familiar with that, they cover the Central West End. But very briefly, I did find some patches. Like I said, they sent me a shoulder patch for some reason. I can't find it. So, but I apologize if this is coming upside down or backwards. But that's the original. To this day, the firefighters wear this on their shoulder patches. This is their fire department logo, and then individual fire departments have their own patches, which is really interesting. Like for instance, I'm just trying to. Here's one right here. This is actually the Station 29's patch. And the reason why some of them have their own patches because they do special assignments. Like Station 29, they're in charge of the hazmat division. Here's Engine 9's patch. And let's see what else is out there. And that's all I got right now that are St. Louis that I see on here. I'm sure there's more on the internet that you can find, but that just gives you an indication. But some of the specialized teams have their own patches. And also, the fire department does, and I will briefly just discuss this in the video, talking a little bit about how the fire department expands out to Lambert International Airport as well. And got a lot of great information coming up, so let's dive into it.
Did you know the St. Louis City Fire Department started out as a volunteer corps? The members of the department were appointed by the mayor to respond to fires. This volunteer corps was known as the Mound City. Each member of the corps was assigned a leather bucket and a badge of white muslin. The name on the muslin was the name of the district they were responsible for. When the alarm was activated, the volunteers would respond from home, secure their bucket, and attach their white muslin before they respond to the fire. I thought this would be an interesting to share. Here are some names of the different districts that are on the members' white muslin. Washington Company 3 was known as Vini, Vidi, Vici. Liberty Company 6, We Conquer to Save. Mound Company 9, We Fly to Succor and Save. Laclede Company 10, Bon Accord. And Lafayette Hook and Ladder 1, Public Servants, Not Hirelings, and this was the only hook and ladder on the volunteer corps. On September 14th, 1857, the fire department became paid. St. Louis became the second oldest career fire department in the United States. By 1910, 51 horse-drawn steam companies existed. Here is an image of some horse-drawn steam companies. 17 hook and ladder companies, 11 district chiefs, deputy chief, master mechanic, and a fire chief. In 1910, the fire department started bringing in motorized apparatuses to replace the horse-drawn steam engines. On March 25, 1927, ended the horse-drawn steam engine. This image shows the first motorized apparatus being used in the St. Louis Fire Department. Beginning of July 16, 1926, the St. Louis Fire Department Training School was organized. Then on August 6, 1942, the fire department was reorganized into 9 districts. A battalion chief has been assigned to each district. There are 43 engine companies, 23 hook and ladder companies, 12 hose wagons, and a rescue squad. On January 8, 1958, the St. Louis Fire Department expanded out to Lambert International Airport to take over the firefighting and rescue services. Here is an image of an airport fire truck known as a crash truck rescue unit. In September 1971, the city's ambulance service went into service. Here is an image of what the city's ambulance service looked like. The city's ambulance service was under the guidance of the St. Louis Health and Hospital Division. On April 19, 1997, Emergency Medical Services was incorporated into the St. Louis Fire Department, which established the Bureau of Emergency Medical Services. The fire department established the second oldest fire academy in the United States. Here is an image of what the fire academy looks like. Recruits attend the academy for 3 months to learn about fire safety, general safety, fire extinguisher systems, hydraulics, vehicle extrication, physical endurance, and CPR and first aid. Currently, emergency medical technicians and paramedics attend the academy for 2 weeks to recertify and keep up with their trainings. Also, all specialized units conduct their training here at the academy. Today, the fire department is responsible for 66.6 square miles with a population over 280,000. Here are some of the specialized units the fire department has to offer: airport firefighting, hazardous materials, marine unit, dive and water rescue, high angle rope rescue, and trench and collapse rescue. Here is the current layout of the department: a chief, a deputy chief, emergency medical services, prevention, communications, support services, fire inspection, fire investigations, and fire suppression. Also, there are currently 7 battalions, 36 stations, 15 engines, 20 trucks, 2 rescue squads, 12 ambulances, 6 hook and ladders, 3 hazmat units, 2 fireboats, and a few support units. Fire Emergency Medical Service Communications is located at headquarters. This is known as fire alarm. Here is an image of the headquarters. Here are some images of current apparatuses in the St. Louis Fire Department. Here is Rescue Squad 2, Hook and Ladder 4, Engine 2, and Medic Unit 14. Now I will talk about the Great St. Louis Fire of 1849. The Great St. Louis Fire started on May 17, 1849, when a paddle wheeler known as White Cloud caught on fire from a burning mattress that was docked along the riverfront. A crew extinguished the mattress and extinguished the fire. However, the embers spread due to high winds to other paddle boats that caused them to catch on fire. In addition, the fire also spread into the downtown area and the businesses located in the Laclede's Landing neighborhood. The fire lasted 11 hours, destroying 23 paddle wheelers and 430 buildings. The cost of the damage was over $5 million. This incident claimed the lives of 43,000 people. Here is an image of what it possibly looked like during the Great Fire. This fire implemented strict fire codes which required the use of fire-resistant materials. Also, the fire helped improve the firefighting infrastructure and established a more organized and equipped fire department within the St. Louis Fire Department. Thank you for taking the time to listening and watching this video.